Okay, cool. All
Let's
right.
do it.
All right. Well, welcome everyone. And thanks to my friends at Hub Australia for having me here today. So I'm Linda Tregowath, and we're going to go through why it is that you need a mentor today and the 5 reasons that are going to help you in your career and business. And before we get going though, let me share a little bit about who I am with you. So I help leaders take the pressure off and lead with confidence and authority. And over around about 30 years, I'm showing my age, I've worked as a leader in business myself, and have worked as a coach and a consultant across multiple industries in New Zealand, Australia, and the UK. And right now I live here in Melbourne in Australia, and we won't labour too much on COVID and our lockdown feel here, but I'm certainly looking forward to getting back in touch with Sasha and Kate in real life when we can see each other at the Hub spaces. So that'll be great. But the reality is that this pandemic has forced us to look at our lives differently and look at how we do business differently. And for a lot of people out there, it certainly affected their careers and made them take stock of where they're at. So today we're going to look at a little bit of what mentoring is and how it's going to help you right now. So in the next 45 minutes or so, I'm going to show you 3 things, and this is really, the first one is how a mentor can help you level up your growth, and how to rev up your know-how so that you can do it, and how to fast track your success by using a mentor. And it was Earl Nightingale who said, you become what you think about most of the time. And I love that saying because it's so true that if we've got 90,000 or 40 to 60 thoughts a day, 1,000 thoughts a day, and 90% of those thoughts are actually focused on the past, that we can actually really use the power of those thoughts to shape the future. So I kind of want to challenge everyone here right now to have a look and see what it is that they want to do in the future. And this is some of the stuff that I'm talking about with my clients as well. So what's the difference between mentoring, training, and coaching? Now, as we go through these slides as well, I'll ask you to participate, and the ladies are going to keep in touch with your comments and what you've got to say, and I'd love to hear from you. But let's have a look at some stats. So before we get into the differences. So it was Sun research that found that 25% of mentees and 28% of mentors receive a pay rise versus only 5% of managers who weren't mentors that don't. And that's from Forbes. So let's take a look at the roles in each of these areas. And I believe that that little dot in the middle is the sweet spot that overlaps and intersects with each of these areas. So most of us would have had training in our lives, and sometimes when you've been to those training sessions, you don't always know what to do with the information that you've learned. You don't know how to implement it. And then there's coaching, which is wonderful, and I know a really good coach if you need anyone, but it's really, the coaching really helps facilitate what you're looking at inside you and helping you to achieve your goals, and really helps to facilitate those outcomes for the individual through open questions. And what I love about coaching is it really helps to move people through the stuck states and their beliefs that are probably not quite accurate and not necessary for them, and also looks at their values and appreciation. Versus a mentor, which is the beautiful sweet spot in all of this, I reckon, is where you can tap into someone else's expertise and knowledge to help you get to where you want to go faster. And in a career perspective, this has been super useful to me. I know I tapped into a mentor when I was doing my HR study many years ago, and he was a very senior member of an HR practice over in New Zealand, and I learned so much from him on so many levels, not just about the career that I wanted to get into at that time. So that was absolute gold and a great foundation for what my future and my career was going to be. So a mentor really helps to leverage those questions and expertise through experiences that they've had, both pluses and minuses. And they're also really good at providing information sources and places to go to expand your thinking. And the sessions are often structured, but there isn't one size fits all in a mentor, and we'll look at that in a minute. So most of us have studied at some point and have possibly had a coach, but sometimes you need a little extra something, and a mentor is a nice complement to that. So let's have a look at a few things. So training might have fallen short, if you like, and I've certainly done my fair share of training over the years. And once you've done the training, you get all excited and inspired, but then you get back into the real world and sometimes you forget to implement what you've learned. And sometimes what you've learned isn't quite on the money either, but you need that real life experience to help you complement that. And then you keep searching, but you haven't found it yet, and you're still trying to figure it out for yourself. And perhaps you're even over searching for answers, and you want to step up in your career, but you don't quite know how. And as a business leader, you want to be able to pivot your business, but you don't know quite how yet either. And you know, it can be quite tough doing it on your own. And you see others doing what it is that you want to do, but you don't quite get there from here. And it's hard doing it alone. And you're wearing too many hats, doing too many roles. Even if you're an employee working for someone, you're still doing quite a few different things. And you've got that life outside of work, and you're not getting anywhere fast enough. And the growing pains are a pain in Struggle Town, and it feels lonely sometimes. And I don't know who's felt this, but you give things a go and you've done lots of courses and go down a certain way down a path, and then you kind of hit a wall and it feels like you're just repeating the same patterns and you feel like a failure again. And just when you think you've sorted it all out, there's a bunch of stuff that you weren't aware of that you've still got to learn, and how to implement that thing that you've just learned about. And it's never ending, and it takes too long, and you keep repeating those patterns and it feels like you're stuck, and it's a bit like Groundhog Day. And I think probably most of us would have an understanding of what that feels like right now. But instead, wouldn't it be better if you could find your mojo? And it's the knowingness that gives you the confidence to leap out of bed every day and have fun with that calm confidence, and the rhythm feels really good. And it's great to have that crystal clear clarity about what your untapped potential is and how to actually tap into it and accelerate yourself. And you have certainty on what it is that you need to do and how you can get the help to find it. And it's always better to do it with someone. I know collaboration's my thing. I love collaborating with others, and you know, that's where the great ideas get generated, and there's a sense of joy and freedom in that. But in mentoring, it's also good to know that someone's got your back and they're there to see you be successful. And they also have the experience and the attitude that is just focused on you and your success. And it's great to have someone point you in the right direction who is there to guide you. And then there's that feeling of the fact that you've got this. And I know when I've been had those times in my life where I feel really confident in what I'm doing, it's that sense of joy that you get from absolutely being confident to be able to do what you do really well, and to really step up and show other people how to do it too. So that's where being a mentor kicks into place for others. And you've got a solid plan to achieve your goals, and it feels like things are just flowing in your life. And you know, it's taken a few steps to get to this point, but it feels really good when you know you've got there. Okay, so let's look at a case study. So we've got Richard here. This is a great example of some mentoring gone right. Now he went out looking for a mentor. So this is one of my clients, and he was looking for someone who could help him deal with overwhelmed from leading his team. He'd been in business, and the employee engagement in his organisation was dropping. And his particular team there were lots of new recruits, and he kind of felt like he was struggling. He couldn't really catch a breath. So he didn't really know what was going on, but we were starting to work on his emotional intelligence, and it uncovered some of his blind spots. And it was in conversation with one of his networking buddies that suggested that he get a mentor as well as a coach to complement what he was doing. And really what he was struggling with was being able to really reach and communicate with his team effectively. And he felt like he had too much going on, and he really couldn't breathe. He said by the end of the day, when he went to the gym, often his breath would be really shallow, and he really struggled with doing good exercise and actually relaxing and unwinding at the end of the day. And he said the communication in his team wasn't going so well. It was almost like he was speaking a different language and they couldn't understand him. So they really were probably just talking a different language. But Richard was introduced to Rebecca as a result of this conversation with someone in his networking group. And she had really gone through the same experiences that he had, and they met and they started talking about their points of reference and how she might be able to help. But aside from that, he started looking at what the fit was for that relationship and how they could work together, and the fact that they'd be spending a bit of time together, it needed to be mutually beneficial. So she needed to learn by imparting her knowledge and wisdom and collaborating with him, and him learning from her in terms of the steps. So because she'd gone through what he had gone through in a similar way, she was able to guide him through and help him navigate those tricky conversations. And lifting employee engagement sometimes is hard lifting. It's worthwhile doing to help people feel great about being at work and doing a great job. But it's not always the things that we need to focus on at work in terms of the soft skills. So she was able to really help him map out a plan that was really effective for him to implement, and also allow him to navigate through the culture of his organisation and the different priorities. And it really was quite an amazing mutual agreement that they both had around their accountability and their availability, and what it was that he was doing to show up for himself and be present in that agreement, if you like, so that he could best serve the time that she was investing in him free of charge. Often mentoring is free of charge, but doesn't always have to be. So, it was a really great blend of both informal and formal structured mentoring. And there was a set period of time that they met every month to talk about what it is that he was focusing on. And over about a 3-month period, he could see that what he was putting into place, the feeling within his team and his team culture was dramatically changing. And what he noticed before he started getting figures and results back from surveys was that the team sentiment was feeling different. They were interacting and looking different at work with each other. So they were starting to show up differently for each other, which was great. So I think, the point is that mentoring really helps to unlock the possibilities that you might not see if you're doing it alone. And choosing the right mentor, Richard was able to really look at the simple step-by-step approach that he would have probably struggled with figuring out those different solutions without being able to talk to someone about it who had those experiences. So Rebecca was also confident in knowing that she could share her wisdom with others, and it felt good for her to do so too. So that was pretty cool. So the options, what are the options for mentoring? Well, let's have a look. So it was CEO Magazine in their 2017 article that said why CEOs need mentors too. It highlighted the way that to stay relevant of your role and to be successful is to tap into the wealth of embedded understanding within younger professionals who grew up with tech. So I quite like that thinking, because it means that we're no longer looking to the hierarchy of the leaders above us. which often in my world were sort of the older, wiser people. Now that we can tap into lots of people who have got different knowledge and different experiences that help shape what it is that we need to do for wherever we're going in our career and our roles. So yeah, it's about tapping into the knowledge that allows us to focus on that future state. Mentoring is always based on the needs and objectives and expertise needed, and not one size fits all. So it could be a mix of informal or formal mentoring, and it could be group-based mentoring or career-focused mentoring or peer-based mentoring as well. And I think, a key takeaway is what is it that you are focused on and what are your goals, and that's where you start. So it's not someone else telling you what you need. If you're in a formal situation in a workplace where you've got a formal mentoring program, then maybe it is. But the most rewarding mentoring relationships I've ever had, either as a mentor or mentee, have been based on an individual's needs and their clarity around that. So whether it's something you seek out yourself or participate in a formal mentoring program, the case for mentoring is clear. So managerial productivity increases by 88% when mentoring was involved versus only 24% when training was done alone. Okay, so putting you ladies on the spot, and anyone else watching or listening, what's been of the most value to you so far in this presentation and why?
I'll chat. I think what you just said about the statistic showing that, if you are just doing training, that, such a smaller percentage. What was the thing what did you just say? The percentages? Was it 24?
88%.
88% was.
Yeah.
So that's like a huge difference. So it's really highlighted to me because I've always wanted a mentor or liked the idea, but never really taken that next step to find someone. But hearing that huge difference has really inspired me to want to go on.
And you haven't seen the rest of the presentation yet, so I'm hoping that there's some gold in there. But what I would love for you guys to do watching is, if there's been 3 takeaways so far for you, and thanks, Sasha, would be to drop those into the comments below there, so we've got them. We can have a chat about them in a little bit. I'd love to hear from you there as well. So what are your 3 takeaways so far? Okay, so we're going to get into the 5 points that I think will help you. So yeah, okay. The first one is to back yourself. And it sounds pretty obvious, but one of the things that I used to get a lot when I was a leader in business, especially when I had an eye on keeping people for succession plans that I had, was people felt that they were never ready for the next step, whatever that was for them or whatever it was that I saw, but it was always, I'm not ready. So my suggestion is to back yourself and believe it. Confidence and commitment are key to whatever your future holds. So it's about getting your head, your hands and your heart in the right place to help propel you forward. And if we look at our fears that we have that hold us back every day, the fear of failure affects 31% of people, and we give up before we get started. So I'd say just get started. It's kind of like, well, if you think too long about it, you just will procrastinate, and procrastinate's the thing that keeps us stuck. So, okay. So before working with one of my clients, an example for you, I asked Darren to complete one of my leadership assessment tools, which is an emotional intelligence assessment. And we looked at his emotional state and his ability to manage his emotions with others. There was a few things going on there, and his peers at work had said that he had become quite reclusive and hard to speak to. So, he hadn't really noticed it himself. He had some things going on in his personal life, but they'd noticed him showing up differently every day. So outwardly, he was showing signs of stress, which was manifesting in a feeling of overwhelm, and he couldn't really talk to people about it. And it was really the stuff that was holding him back. But what it showed really fundamentally was that he didn't have a great awareness of himself, and he was so stuck that he was surviving and not thriving. And what he was doing at work seemed pretty inconsequential compared to what he was going through outside of work. And it was creating a level of friction to the point where it was tugging on his values and creating an imbalance. And so we stepped through the impacts of his actions, which was creating more stress for him, and directed his focus and reactions to his interpersonal connections to help him get unstuck. So my point is that when you back yourself and you believe it and you are confident in yourself, and it does take a bit of practice to get there, and constant work, to be honest, depending on the environment and the state and the people around you and what's going on, it really, you owe it to yourself to believe in where it is that you want to go in your future and take action to do that. And one of the things, no matter what you do in your career, is to get really clear on what you need, which is coming up next, in order to be able to do this. But back yourself, don't think too hard about it, and then just take action on it. And when you start doing this, like I say, it's like a muscle, and confidence is rather contagious, and people love being around confident people without ego. Okay, so the next one is to get clear. And it was Tony Robbins who said, as soon as you truly commit to making something happen, the how will reveal itself. And it's so true. It's funny how the universe just provides. So take a step back and look at the parts of your life. Is there any stress that you're experiencing right now? And are you where you would like to be? And are you doing the things in your career and life that you would like to be doing? And who is doing those things with you? Who's there to support you? So be open and have a think about what it might be that you are not doing, and what else that it is that you could be doing. Start from a place of possibilities, and get the advice that you need to help get you there. So find a trusted advisor that's going to help you along that way. And it could be the step towards finding that great mentor. One question I would get asked as a leader of teams, I had some really big teams back in my time as a leader, and was, I really want some training. Okay, so what is it that you're wanting to achieve by going to the training, I would say? Oh, well, I just think it'd be really good for the company to fund some training for me. And I'd be like, well, I'm happy to fund some training for you, as long as you know what it is that you're trying to achieve by going to that training, because ultimately it's use of your brain power, it's investment of your time. So it's got to be right for you. So how do you know it's right for you? And I think it's really important to have that lens when you're choosing to use your brain power and invest your time into whatever it is that you're doing. So like I say, training's one thing, coaching's another, but finding a mentor that's going to help provide that perspective is going to be super useful to you. So think big, and your clarity needs to come from your position, not your bosses, not your partner, not your parents. It has to come from what you want, because if we're running someone else's narrative, then it's never going to feel quite right for us over time. So, and also the other thing too is the stretch is, don't play safe, think big, and then work out how to do it. So it's when we can stretch and think big, that's when we actually get connected to our purpose and our goals, and it keeps it alive, and it keeps us motivated to get us out of bed every day to do those things. Yeah, form a plan, and as a very good friend of mine would say, prioritize and execute. So it's very military based, but it is actually true. It's very, very laser focused and sharp in terms of what you need to do. So then think about the what else. Well, globally, it was some stats that I got from LinkedIn's press room. it says 79% globally think that professional networking is valuable for career progression, and less than 48% globally say that they keep in touch with their network when things are going well in their career. So my thing is, we've got a huge amount of gold sitting in our network, whether it's the network that we have through places like Hub Australia, LinkedIn, or places that we've worked at, business networking forums and those sorts of things. But, you know, have a look and see who's doing some of the things that you actually want to do, who's out there in your network that you can tap into. So now that you've done the course that you want to do, you need to lock it in. So who is it that can help you back in your real life once you get back into your day-to-day distractions that we've all got, to help complement the learnings that you've learned? So reach out to your network, even though it can be daunting to do that. But we no longer have the stranger danger that we once did around networking. And in fact, when you actually reach out to your network and are very genuinely asking for help, people rarely say no, as long as it's a fit for you and for them. And often what I find is that if they can't help you, they definitely know someone else who does. So there's a whole lot of hidden resources waiting for us there. And then number 4 is owning your expert status. Now there was a study done in 2006, so it's a little old, but I think it still stands up in that 25% of employees who were enrolled in a mentoring program had a salary grade change. You can tell this is an American study, compared to only 5% of workers who did not participate. And mentees were promoted 5 times more than those not in the mentoring program. Retention rates higher for both mentees at 22% or more, and mentors 20% more than employees who did not participate in the program. So I think that's pretty powerful to consider as well. And I loved being a mentor, and I still mentor people now, and I'm actually working with someone on their career right now from a mentoring perspective. And it's what you, as I mentioned before, what it is that you know, you actually get to really lock in what it is that you know. What you've forgotten that you know, you actually get to bring it forward into your memory and actually be able to reuse that more times with other people and bring that memory to life. And sharing is caring. So it really is about a gift that you can give to other people through what it is that you've learned, be it the school of hard knocks or great experiences that have set your soul on fire and kept you energized through your experiences. But ultimately, the benchmark is your own expertise to aid in your continual growth. So I think it's really worthwhile both being a mentor and a mentee, and I've done both at the same time, to be honest. You don't have to have them at different times. So let's have a look and see how you can take that to the next level. So get out there and get networking. Set up a champion or formal networking or formal mentoring in your organisation, formal mentoring group in your organisation. And who in your team, if you're a leader, might actually want this in a more formal way, or perhaps even in an informal way like lunch and learns like we're doing today. And is there someone right in front of you who could benefit from what you know right now? And is there someone around you that you could reach out to ask for help in the way that's going to help you level up to your career goals? So let's have a look at great characteristics of a mentor. And I love doing a little bit of research on this because I have my own opinion on it, and it wasn't too far off what I found. So they need to have the knowledge and expertise on the field that you're looking to develop in, and they've been there before you so they can help you step through it. They need to have empathy and the ability to listen and share with presence. So no distractions on their phones, no multitasking, just there right in front of you for you, or it could be on Zoom these days too. They need to be a really good communicator, and you might have actually seen evidence of how great at their communication they are. It's really important. Those are skills that you want to model. One of the biggest things that I find leaders face is the fear of communicating with others. Yes, we all have it, but there's 69% of leaders who are uncomfortable with communicating with other people. So that's a really staggering result, I reckon. The ability to provide and receive respectful, constructive feedback is important, and the two-way flow of that in a mentoring agreement is important. And they're invested in their own development, and they demonstrate that through being self-motivated to do it. And they have the intention to see others succeed and clearly demonstrate that. They need to be likable, and you will want to spend time with that person. And when you think of them, you see them as aspirational, and you might want a little bit of what they've got, if you like. So put it out there, and once you're clear on what it is that you want to do, you'll be surprised what opportunities come your way. And then the fifth one is to fast track your success. So the mentor is going to have well-honed skills, and you're going to have a golden opportunity to tap into their resources and what they know. And as a mentor, the beautiful gift that it gives you by being a mentor is, over time, what you learn becomes intuitive, and you almost forget what you know. So it actually helps you truly lock in and realize all those years of study, experiences that you've had. It brings them to the forefront, so you get to really own them. And as a mentee, you're a committed, active participant to learn through the wisdom and experiences of your mentor. And they've taken the hard knocks, and maybe you can learn, maybe not to follow the same path, those hard knocks, and learn from those without having to experience them so directly yourself. And a mentor will help you reduce your blind spots and stretch your thinking, and being able to share what other potential avenues you could follow that you might not have thought about. They'll also help you look at the hurdles that you might face that are unavoidable and help you navigate through them. And they'll also help you have those courageous conversations with other people that we are all afraid of to some degree, because none of us like conflict. So it's really worthwhile having someone to really help step you through that and support you to help navigate those conversations. And the right mentor has your back. They are there with you to see you celebrate your successes as you grow and achieve your goals. So now we're going to get into how to select a mentor. And I've actually got a cheat sheet over on my website. I'll give you the instructions of how to get that in a couple of slides. So, okay. So I've lost my train of thought there for a sec, but I'm back on track. Okay, so the first one is check that your values align. Now, 1 in 6 mentoring relationships fail because people don't get sight of what's actually going on from a values perspective. And ultimately, it's like any relationship. You need to have some shared values in order for you to keep that relationship alive. So when a mentor candidate's values don't align to yours, their starting point's different, and their lens and their view on the world will be different, and the experiences that they will share with you may not be the right fit for you or help you in the right direction. So it's really important to actually choose someone that's got the same sort of set of values as you, and obviously that means that you need to know what yours are first. The second one is that they need to be willing. And I know over the years, there's been people that I wanted to learn from and tap into their knowledge and their wisdom to kind of have a little bit of what they've got. But ultimately, if they've not got the time and they're not willing, then it's never going to work out. So, it sounds like we're sort of talking about dating here, but ultimately any relationship's the same. It needs to be a fit, and you need to start from the same solid base, if you like. If you want them to help you, you need to be straight up and be clear on what it is that you need. And in other words, don't oversell what it is that why they should be interested in helping you. Your mentor should see the opportunity to be able to help you straight away. So don't force the process. And then the third one is, will they respectfully challenge and help stretch your perspective? Are they a willing, experienced mentor whose values are aligned to yours, who can help you level up in leaps and bounds? And will they stretch your perspective in a way that's going to help seek alternative routes that are going to take you down a path that is going to be rewarding to you? Without a mentor, I know there were probably paths that I would have followed to have no real sort of result in relation to my goals. And I really did end up exploring some different avenues as a result. So I was pretty happy with that. The fourth one is, are they authentic and do they communicate openly? And a mentor is comfortable with who they are. They own it. There's no problem at all around them speaking up with their truth. And when you find someone with that calm confidence, you know that they're going to instill trust in you and the others around them, and they're going to model great traits of a leadership of leaders. To foster trust, honest communication is needed, and to find someone who has great communication skills that clearly allows others to follow. I think that's really important. And like I said earlier, number 5, one size does not fit all. And in fact, mentors come in different shapes and sizes from different industries. So, I've tapped into people, even though I've been in, say for banking, I've been in the banking industry previously, I might have tapped into someone who is in government that would have been able to help share different perspectives with me and bring some inside out thinking into what I was doing. And I don't think that you have to follow the same industry as what you're working in. It depends on your career goals and your aspirations, of course. And when you're clear on your needs, a mentor is likely to show up just anyway. So keep your eyes open and be open to what those experiences show up for you. And then they've got resources and tools. You're able to tap into their network and they can introduce you to other people who can actually help you expand your thinking within that mentoring arrangement, if you like. So you don't just get them, but you also get their toolkit and their resources and their contacts that can also help you and support you. And I think that's, hugely valuable when you find that right person. So don't limit yourself on what it is that you need to. Just be open to receiving that once you're really clear on what it is you want to achieve. So how will this make your life easier? So ladies, any comments from you, any thoughts, any comments that you're seeing in the comments box there below?
I've actually just got a lot of questions coming. This has been a really great one for me as well. But I think the biggest one to make it easier is definitely that network, because I think that, when you've got a great network of people, even if that network isn't a good mentor for you, or that mentor doesn't exist in that network, being able to leverage your network and speak with them about, who you're looking for to fill that kind of mentor position could open a lot more doors as well. So for me, I think that the biggest one is who you know, because you never know who they know and who they can connect you with. For me, I think that something that's really organic is it just seems like a more natural fit. And I think that that's why I like the networking element of it, because it does feel a lot more organic.
That's how you and I first met, and we'd sort of momentarily forgotten about it. But yeah, it's, it is really powerful, because when you're actually out there networking and talking to people, you actually get stronger in what it is that you offer anyway. And the more you can talk about what it is that you need and ask for it from a very genuine place, I think it just helps you back yourself. So it's, and people stand out to you. So like you,
Definitely.
Kate.
Like you, Linda.
Yeah, it's great. And we met in a real face-to-face thing earlier this year. So it's, and the same with Sasha. So it's been really, really good to kind of do that networking when we can here in Melbourne. But it's, what other comments are you seeing there in the comments box or questions?
A lot of the comments coming through are more about the relationships that people have had with mentoring so far. So whether they have been a mentor, are looking for a mentor, which side of the fence they sit on there. So if anyone does have anything they want to add, pop it in there. But I think Sash and I both posted in there our takeaways, and a lot of them are to do with networking. Sash has also put in there around being confident, thinking big, and surrounding yourself with people that can help you progress your career and offer a sounding board for you.
Yeah, great. I think those things are really, really important. But I can't highlight this enough, is get clear on what it is you want, and be clear on what it is that you want, not your partner, your mum and dad, your boss. Be truthful to yourself. Now, that does take a bit of courage for some people, and it takes it's like, feels like we've been a bit selfish, but actually it's something quite necessary that we need to do. So we've kind of covered the questions a bit. Yeah.
We've got another question in the chat box. Is it better to seek out a mentor or use a company that matches you to someone?
Well, I think you can. I think it's great if you can get a kind of a matchmaker service to do it for you, because there's plenty of those guys out there too, and they do a great job. My thing would be, first of all, can you articulate what you need? Because if you can't, then it could be a bit of an expensive exercise. And I do believe that some of those matchmaker type organisations are great, especially if you're in a more senior role and you've got more of a unique need that you might need to cast your net a little bit more widely. But I'd say start with your network first, because you just don't know who knows someone. And to be perfectly honest, the reward is getting back in touch with people that you haven't talked to for a while. And it's not as scary as we think it is, even though it can be. We're still like the kid at school, where the first day at school to some degree, right? So but it actually is a good place to start before you get out there and start spending money, I believe. And then you can do the other thing as well, but it's give it a go. Look at your own backyard first. So if anyone wants the cheat sheet that I've got around choosing a mentor, then they can head over to my website and or they can email me and I'll send it to them. But the download options there too, that they can go and download a free cheat sheet, and it'll give you some questions to ask yourself about what it is that you need to do to look at selecting one and finding one that's the right fit for you.
Thank you. I had another question as well, and I know generally we don't like to focus on what not to do, but are there any things that we should really avoid when looking for a mentor? Are there any things that you think are definitely don't do?
I can share some of my personal experiences. I think if you've got someone who's really, really familiar to you, who you think can help you, and really what it is that you're kind of just making it easy for yourself because you know them. Ultimately, look at what it is that you need, because they're probably not going to be the right fit for you, and it's not going to be the best use of your time or theirs. And if they're not sort of 2 or 3 steps ahead of you in terms of that experience, knowledge or expertise, then it's not going to be a big enough stretch for you to kind of grow and for them to support you. And they get a little bit bored with the conversations sometimes, and you're not stretched enough to keep the conversation going. So I think you've really got to look at what's good use of your time and their time around that. It comes down to values, and don't take the simple road, I guess. Don't take the easy path. Look at what it is that you really need.
Thank you. That was really great.
Thanks. We whipped through it and we got there in the end after the technology, but it's good to be able to share that stuff. I think the intersection between training, coaching and mentoring is so important. I don't know how much money I've spent over the years on training, worthwhile, but you need people to help show you how to do it and step you through it and handhold you through how to go about it. So what are your biggest takeaways, guys, listening, watching? Has anyone got one thing that they would take away and do immediately or do differently if you've already got a mentor?
I put one in there in the chat box. I said, when looking for a mentor, I should feel comfortable with them and we should be able to have good and honest conversations between each other. So I think really the honesty was a really good point. You don't want someone to just be, you know, boasting your boots or whatever the saying is. You really want them to just actually be honest with you, because if they're just like a good friend, that's probably not going to be the best mentor, because you do really want that honesty. So yeah. One.
Ultimately, your mentor should be there to back you and see you succeed, and I think they stand out. Like if I look at the difference between, you know, a mate who can share some wisdom and impart their knowledge, that's different than having someone who's going to absolutely show up and be front and center without any distractions to actually help you grow. They're there for you and completely focused on you. They're not like, there's such a different thing when you've got a buddy that's out having a great chat with you and over a coffee or whatever, versus someone who's just there because you've got this agreed relationship from a mentoring perspective, because they actually see that there's something beneficial in it for them. And how good is it to help see people be successful? I think, you know, that's the biggest takeaway for me. I love people when I see people doing what they set out to do because of stuff that, you know, we can do together.
Awesome. Well, we just got one last one from John. Making sure your values align as well was a big takeaway for him. Yeah, so that's great. But we will wrap it up there. So thank you so much, Linda. We really, really appreciated you taking the time to lead this call for us.
Thank you for inviting me. It's so nice to see you guys. It's wonderful to hang out with you guys for a while. Thank you.
It is. I miss seeing everybody's faces. So.
Oh, I know. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys back in, Collins Street at some point in time, hopefully before the end of the year, or at least early next year.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. So I recorded this session as well, so we can share it again for everyone that's on the call. If you do want to go back and reflect on Linda's notes, you've got the recording, and also she's left her details there, so you can reach out directly as well. Other than that, thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
And
thanks, everyone. See you. Bye, Kate. See ya.
Bye, guys. Have a great day.